It looked like ESPN just told the shocking truth as to why Sandy Brondello was let go by the New York Liberty. Guys, for this one here,
he's out. Just like that. And the fan base? They're in complete meltdown mode. Imagine this. The Liberty's most successful coach ever, the one who just delivered a title, suddenly kicked to the curb. But here's the kicker. New details just dropped, and they're explosive. Twisted agendas, hidden tensions, and shocking betrayals are all in play. This bombshell doesn't just shake a team. It flips the entire
The New York Liberty have let go Sandy Brondello. Well, in their terms, they will not renew her contract. In our eyes, they parted ways. She was fired, essentially. But not as bad as being fired, I guess. But that's just how we talk out here. Nonetheless, I'm shocked. She's been a coach there for 4 seasons. You look at the past 3 seasons, she made it to the finals in her second season. She won the finals in her third season, and they lost in round 1 this year. Outside looking in, you look at this franchise and you see that's a successful franchise. New York is a powerhouse in the W right now. So what is the issue? What is the...
And then the shockwave lands, straight from ESPN. Yes, the ESPN, unleashing a headline that feels unreal. Sandy Brondello, the most decorated coach in Liberty history, tossed aside barely a season after delivering a championship banner. Fans everywhere, including me, are staring at the screen asking, wait, is this some kind of mistake? But no, this isn't a typo. It isn't a dream. This is the WNBA.
What exactly led to the parting of ways between the Liberty and Sandy Brondello here?
Well, Malika, I know you guys talk about this a lot in the NBA and in other sports, but it was really championship or bust for New York and for Sandy Brondello. And in fact, if they hadn't won the championship last year, we might have been having this conversation a year ago, which is maybe a little startling to fans outside, given how, excuse me for those noises, for how impactful she'd been for that franchise. But that is how bullish this organization is in New York, and how their ownership and management really are looking to just continue upon that success.
Explain this to me. How does any of this make sense? You bring in a coach. She rebuilds a collapsing franchise from the ground up, drags you to milestones you'd never dreamed of, racks up more wins than anyone before her, captures the first championship in your history, and your reward is showing her the exit? Really? That's like hiring an architect who builds you a skyscraper, then firing him because one window wasn't shiny enough. It's absurd. And here's the kicker. Even ESPN isn't sugarcoating it. They're flat out saying this decision doesn't just bend logic, it shatters it.
To have. And so I think for New York moving forward, I would expect them to really, again, be bullish in who they go after. We know that they are a WNBA franchise that invests a lot in a lot of resources, a lot of financial, capital into these decisions. So I think it wouldn't be shocking, though, if they decide to go after maybe someone in the NBA, someone that we might be a little bit more of a non-traditional hire. I do think Sandy Brondello has a great shot of getting hired again. We know what she has done in this league. We know that there's openings in Seattle, for example, in addition to the 2.
So here's the deal. The Liberty front office has one reputation: cutthroat to the core. And what does that really mean? In plain English, these Wall Street moguls running the team treat basketball like their stock portfolios. If the numbers don't scream perfection, they dump the investment and chase the next shiny asset.
Down with ESPN to give us an update as to why Sandy Brondello will let go. And what's crazy about all of this in this interview that I'm about to show you guys is that Sandy Brondello was supposed to be fired last year, but she actually won the WNBA championship.
And here's the kicker. According to ESPN insider Alexa, the decision was practically sealed before the playoffs even tipped off. Management laid down one cold-blooded ultimatum: win another championship or pack your bags. That's it. No middle ground, no excuses, no second chances. Think about that for a second. Brondello's entire future was dangling by a thread, tied to the impossible demand of back-to-back titles. The guillotine was ready before the first ball was even dribbled.
New York Liberty just fired their head coach. People are confused as to why, because they won the championship last year. They made the playoffs this year. In sports, there's always a scapegoat when things aren't going the way that they wanted it to go. Clearly, in New York, the standard has been raised. As Coach Tibbs learned with the New York Knicks, making the playoffs does not guarantee that you are safe anymore. They have raised the standard. They're sending a message to the fans, to the team, saying, we don't want to just go to the playoffs. We need to go to the finals and we need to win. So if it's not the players on the court that are changing, it's got to be the coaching staff. So unfortunately, that did mean Coach.
So let this sink in. This coach delivered New York its first ever championship, and instead of building on that legacy, the front office decided to grade her on whether she could instantly pull off a repeat. The standard wasn't just high, it was flat out impossible. The end result? Failure was baked in from the start. Honestly, it's laughable. Other franchises would kill to land a coach with her resume, 40 playoff wins, rings with multiple teams, and a reputation for uniting players without ever crossing the line into dictatorship. But New York? They glance at that legendary track record and go, cool, but we'll pass. That's like tossing a chef to the curb right after he wins your restaurant its first Michelin star, just because the garnish on one dish wasn't Instagram perfect. And the way they handled it? Absolutely ruthless. ESPN spelled it out. There was no heartfelt farewell, no respect, no dignity. Instead, the Liberty fired off a robotic "thank you for your time" press release, then instantly shifted the conversation to their next hire. No celebration, no parade, just ice-cold dismissal. But here's where this bombshell cuts deeper. It exposes something ugly about the WNBA itself. This league is so fixated on mimicking the NBA's drama machine, chasing headline after headline, that it's sabotaging its own growth. The Liberty are acting like they're the Lakers, axing a coach for not pulling off a three-peat. Reality check. You're still clawing for market relevance, still trying to convince casual fans that generational stars like Caitlin Clark are must-watch. What you need is stability, not this circus of self-destruction.
Yeah, you never want to see a player get injured, and a player like Caitlin and coming back has had a few injuries this year. She's a great player. It would have been good for our crowd to see her, but hopefully they get to see her after post All-Star. We get to play them again. As for the All-Star, I'm excited to get to know her a little bit. I think that's the part of the All-Star. It's going to coach players that you haven't coached before and get them to know them a little bit and enjoy the whole celebration.
And speaking of Caitlin Clark, let's be real. This entire mess ties right back to her. Clark has already flipped the league upside down. Year 2, she's no longer just the rookie sensation. She's now the face plastered across every headline, every highlight reel, every commercial. Her impact is so massive that the old guard feels threatened. And here's where things turn political. When Sandy Brondello openly praised Clark's cultural takeover, it sent shockwaves through the power corridors. Suddenly, it wasn't just about victories, it became about control, about who gets to be crowned as the chosen ones. And let's not sugarcoat it. The Liberty's brand machine wants Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu as the undisputed faces, not Caitlin. So when their own coach started giving Clark her flowers, it clashed with the carefully polished "New York is the center of the universe" narrative. And now comes the real drama. Breanna Stewart only inked a one-year deal. Translation? She can walk. Imagine the irony. New York ditches its championship coach in a bid to flex control, and in the process, they alienate their biggest superstar. ESPN even floated the nightmare scenario. Stewart could bolt. If that happens, the so-called super team instantly collapses into a rebuild. That's not strategy. That's Russian roulette. And the fallout is spreading. Across the league, big voices are calling this a mistake. Becky Hammon, yes, one of the most respected minds in the game, basically torched the move without saying the word trash. When someone at her level throws shade, you listen. But the Liberty? They're too busy playing fake chess, flipping the entire board and acting like geniuses while the house burns down. And then, the million-dollar question. Who replaces Brondello? ESPN dropped the possibility they might hire an NBA assistant, someone who's never run a WNBA locker room. That's like tossing a rookie driver into a Formula One car and hoping for a podium finish. It's reckless, chaotic, and classic New York, big splash over common sense. Here's the irony that stings. Brondello won't be unemployed long. Seattle has an opening. Expansion franchises are knocking, and she's too decorated to sit on the sidelines. If she ends up coaching a rival to a title, that would be the ultimate revenge arc, and ESPN would eat it up with a silver spoon. Now rewind. Look at the Liberty's numbers under Brondello. In 2022, 16-20, a rebuild season. In 2023, 32-8, finals. In 2024, 32-8 and a championship. In 2025, 27-7, bounced early due to injuries. That resume gets you fired? Come on. Coaches with half that success get statues outside arenas. This is why the fanbase is boiling mad, because it's crystal clear this decision wasn't about basketball. It was about optics, ego, and chasing flash. And the cost? Devastating. The locker room sees that hard work and loyalty mean nothing. The fans feel betrayed. Social media exploded with words like sabotage, nonsense, and sell the team. Some even vowed not to watch until ownership changes. That's not bold, it's self-sabotage. Because here's the raw truth. This isn't just Brondello's firing. It's the WNBA's bigger problem. Instead of embracing stability, the league chases chaos. Instead of celebrating growth, it manufactures drama. Instead of building empires, it burns them down for clout. And that's why this moment feels seismic. Brondello wasn't fired for failing. She was fired because the Liberty's front office wanted total control, absolute perfection, and nonstop spotlight. And in grasping for that spotlight, they may have dimmed their own future. The so-called model franchise now looks fragile, desperate, and broken. Fans deserved better. Players deserved better. And Sandy Brondello, who made history, deserved way, way better. So what do you think? Did the Liberty just blow up their own dynasty? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button if this exposed the truth, and subscribe because trust me, the next breakdown is going to get even wilder.